Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Not Church, where we encourage people to think. Today, we're going to talk about the cost of vulnerability. I would like for us to reflect on some of the fears and anxiety that we've had surrounding this particular topic. It is very important for individuals to be vulnerable, not just with themselves, but with their God. And yes, with some of those persons that we bring into our lives. First of all, let's establish this working definition of vulnerability. It is the ability to expose your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your will. In other words, to bring your whole you to the conversation, to the meeting, to public, to private, to whoever, just to be yourself, to be real, to be honest, to be open about who you are without a fear of being attacked emotionally, physically, or any other way. People are not vulnerable because they have anxiety surrounding the responses that they're going to get, whether they're physical, whether they are verbal attacks, emotional attacks. They're afraid for whatever reason. They're afraid to show their true selves. It is my thought that if we can practice the gift of vulnerability, then one can become free. So freedom through vulnerability is an option for us. Now, does this mean that you just share everything about yourself to everybody that you come in contact with? Of course not. We want to be selective. We want to be wise. Of course, we need to be methodical in terms of who we're sharing, whatever we're sharing concerning ourselves. But you shouldn't be so scared that you are frozen in time and you cannot be yourself around people. You can't be worried about if these persons or people are going to accept you or not, because you just revealed everything about yourself, because that cripples a person from being free. And I've actually learned this the hard way. I've learned this the hard way because I protected myself for so long. So even, for example, these videos that I do, a part of my freedom is a part of me revealing some things about myself in freedom and without fear of any backlash or outcome or attack. It is a good place to be when you're free from all of those things that keep you from being your full self or your whole self. You know, we can't even be honest with ourselves if we're not vulnerable. Can't be, because we're hiding some things, or we have these walls up that are so high that we could never get to our true selves. Our true authentic selves is where our freedom exists, not anywhere else. And how can you be real with God if you cannot be real with yourself? You have to be honest with who you are, and the sources and the persons that made you, your history, your backdrop, your background. You have to be honest with that. You have to be honest with these elements that's created you who you are before you can even deal with the things that may be issues in your life. Very important to be vulnerable. So the cost of vulnerability, it is a high cost. It is a high cost, but I will say that it's worth it. It is worth it for you to. How many of us have been in relationships, but we could not be honest with our counterparts or the other person because we were not vulnerable? We had walls up that were so high that we did not reveal our true selves. Therefore, they couldn't get a true depiction of us. So they didn't know what they were dealing with. So now you have a person or two people in confusion. And it's really a mess if you have two persons in a relationship that feel this way. If you have two persons that are not vulnerable or not being honest with who they are, man, you got two people who are just all over the map, who are just a mess, but never knowing each other. How can even communication take place if you don't know each other? How can honesty take place? How can trustworthiness take place if you're not vulnerable? So vulnerability is important to you knowing yourself. It's important to you having an understanding and a cohesive, working, healthy relationship with God. It is important for your mental health, for your own personal therapy. Just come to the table. Man, woman, who's going to accept you is who's going to accept you. They either going to accept you or they're not. But the one thing you can't do is live in fear of it and not be real with yourself. The quicker we get to our real selves and in terms of being vulnerable, the more authentic people come into our lives. And the more healthy our relationships are with other people. And the more happy we become, the more at peace we become. Because you can't tell me that you in peace and you faking it. Who are you? Let's get to that. And let's stand on that. And let's be firm on it, no matter what anybody else says, because that's important. It's important for you. It's important for your emotional health. Cost of vulnerability, the cost of it. The cost is high because now I want to balance it out with there are going to be some a-holes and there's going to be some people that's going to judge you, that they are going to be out there. But guess what? That does not stop you. That does not affect who you are. You're going to have that. You're going to have people that are going to always have something to say. They're going to always be negative. They're always going to judge you. Just to give you a quick example, how many people have ever had somebody come at them sideways and they hesitated to deal with that person that was coming to them? And when I say sideways, meaning disrespectfully, or you knew they meant something negative by what they said to you, failed to address it. And when you left that situation, you left feeling bad, feeling regretful, remorseful. Man, good God, I should have said something to that person. I shouldn't have let this thing just go over my head. I shouldn't have let them feel like that did not bother me. But my God, when you learn to confront those things, strike the iron while it's hot. When you learn to deal with it on sight and on spot, and you get that thing off of you because you were being honest, you were being vulnerable with your emotions and how you felt, you leave that situation feeling more whole as a person, as a woman, as a man, as an individual, as a citizen. So yes, the cost of vulnerability can be high and sometimes it can hurt, but my God, it is worth it. Okay? So thank you for tuning in to this session of Not Church. And remember, like, comment, subscribe. And remember, it's okay to think. Till we meet again. Peace. Everybody won't be on top. Yeah. Whether the roof or the mountaintop. Right.